Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing amazing. And today I'm going to be sharing with you how I learned to make high quality videos in 1 year. This is essentially my filmmaking course. Please hit the thumbs up, please subscribe, it really helps the channel. And before we get into it, down below will be the timestamps if you feel like skipping around, but I recommend you stick around for the whole video because I feel like all the different parts tied together could really help you. I feel like all the bits that I've learned have really helped my overall ability, so please enjoy and I hope you find it useful. But before we go any further, we need to take one step back. Over these 12 plus months of having a camera, I believe that I have learned a significant amount, and I think it's fairly relative to the amount of time and the amount of videos I have made. That I have had experience in creating films, creating videos before I got my camera. I was mainly using my phone to record, but I think it's important to address that just to make sure you know that, okay, I've had the background in making videos before, so that is where a lot of my editing skills came from, and I was able to edit fairly alright at the beginning. Not the best, but I didn't really know much about color grading and that kind of stuff. And so I did learn a lot of editing once I started making videos with my camera, but before that I had a basic knowledge of how to make videos. Firstly, I think there's something that is important to address. I personally don't think you need to go to film school to go into film or making videos. If you want to go down a more traditional route of such as TV, like if you want to work for the BBC or something, maybe film school is for you. But if you want to do this whole thing of either like making videos online or being a freelancer, I think learning by doing, you can learn so much by doing that. So I don't think you need to go to film school. If you want a more safer route, you could go to film school, I guess, but they don't really teach you much from what I've seen about the technical aspect of actually making films. They teach you a lot of theory. So I don't personally think you need to go to film school. I have no intention of going to film school. It's not right for me. It might be right for you, and that's what you're doing. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody's different. With the internet and places like Google and YouTube, you can learn so much, and I've learned so much literally for free by researching online, and it's just endless the amount of opportunity that there is. But you can also use like online courses and stuff. But I think you need to be careful with online courses because some of them are really overpriced to what you actually get in. That's why I think services such as Skillshare are really good. I've been using Skillshare for nearly a year now, and I signed up for their trial and then I got the subscription. Definitely worth it. I'll put the link down below for a 2-month free trial that you can use, and you can get access to all their courses. This is not sponsored by Skillshare, but I'll put the link down below where you can get access to a 2-month free trial. Before you hit the record button, you need to plan out. You need to plan something out of how you're going to record it. Just like me here, this video here, it's been scripted out. Quite specifically, not every detail not every word that I'm saying has been scripted out, but it's been fairly scripted. And you should do the same. When I made my film Life, which was entered the film festival, I'll link that up in the card, and that was scripted out very specifically. Every word was scripted to how I was going to say it, and I storyboarded it fairly specifically as well. I made a shot list, and then I planned out exactly for each shot how I was going to have it. It changed in post, obviously, because I realized, okay, this will work better than that. There was some footage that I got from stock video, so that was from somewhere else that I didn't think about until later on. But planning out makes your video much better, makes the content inside the video better, and it makes the production better as well. One of the most important things, what you're recording on, your camera or your phone. You can use either. I started recording my YouTube videos on my phone. There you can scroll down, look at my old YouTube videos, and you can see that they weren't as good quality of this because they were recording on my iPhone. A lot of us creators get started using our phone, and I think it's really important to just get started whatever you have, because you might not even enjoy what you're doing. Like, if you just get a camera and make 2 videos, what's the point? Unless you're going to use your camera for photography or something else that makes it worth it. What's the point if you don't actually enjoy the process of writing and then making your videos and editing them, and what's the point? So you need to actually test the waters, see if you actually enjoy what you're doing. So I think it's important, grab your phone, get a £5 tripod, and just start talking to the world and say what you have to say. You don't need to go get all the fancy gear because you don't need it. I try to make the highest production quality I can with what I have, and when I get bigger and when this works even better, then things will be upgraded. And that's how I see the whole does gear matter principle. I made a video about gear, what does gear matter, when I got my first camera. You can check that out, I'll link that up in the card as well. There's some crucial information that you need to know about actually using your camera, some basic in-camera settings. You can literally just Google it. I'm sure like there's a manual with your camera. I didn't read my manual, but you can read yours if you like. Basic in making videos is you want your shutter speed to be double your frame rate. So if your frame rate is 24 frames per second, like this video is shot in 24 frames per second because it's the most natural looking way to see video. And so because this is 24 frames per second, you want the shutter speed to be at 50 frames per second because that's the nearest to the double that your camera can do. And if you want something that's slow motion and you want to record something and then you want to slow it down, you want to record it in 60 or 120 frames per second, because if you slow something down in 24 frames per second, it looks very jittery and it's like it doesn't look very smooth. That's why cameras that cost more can record in that ability, and it makes your videos look better. Also, your f-stop, which is your aperture, the lower you can bring that, the blurrier the background will be, and so you'll be more focused on me here, and the background will be more blurry, giving a bigger depth of field and making your videos look better. Also, your ISO fake light is letting more light into the camera. So it's currently at 800, and that is bringing a decent amount of light in from the camera, and the light that I have bouncing off the wall and the window light here, and like a lamp in the background here, which is a practical light, which is something else which is really good to have because it brings a more atmosphere to the shot that you're shooting. And having your ISO not too high doesn't bring too much grain. So if I boosted this ISO up to any higher than 800, there'd be much more grain. But because of the lighting situation in this room, I have to have it at ISO 800. I report it down to 400, it would be too dark and the exposure would be too far to the left. Also, you want to shoot in a color profile which is something like C-Log. C-Log is what are on Canon cameras, so it's the raw version of video. When it comes out of the camera, you go on the computer and you look at it, it doesn't look that beautiful because you're shooting in a color profile that doesn't have a lot of contrast. It's like nothing is really brought out yet until you edit it in post. By doing this, you can have much more options when it comes to color grading. That's why the color profile I have on my camera, it is very similar to RAW. So I'll put the link down to the color profile that I use. I downloaded it and put it on the camera because my current camera doesn't have the ability to shoot C-Log. So I have a version that is very, very similar to C-Log. But if your camera has that ability, absolutely, I recommend shooting in it because it gives you such more abilities when it comes to editing. For lighting, there's so many options. I'm kind of using, like I said, I'm using a combination here of a light. I've got a light here bouncing off the wall, and I have some window light coming in here. Also, sometimes I've just done a scene where I've just used one light and some practicals. I've done some stuff when I've just used window light. There's lots of different options that you can use. A very good way is to use 3-point lighting, is where you have one light coming from one direction, another light from another direction, a light in the back of you. So I'm using 2-point lighting at the moment essentially, because I have one light coming from this way bouncing off this wall, and then I have a window light as the other side. And there's also this thing called a hair light, which will bring light basically to your head, on top of your head, which makes the video look better. And practical lights, like I said, having something in the background, that is also a very good lighting situation, make your video look better. Also, I think it's important to address, you don't need to go buy loads of expensive lights, and you can use things that you already have, or buy some fairly cheap lights for like £20, $20, and you can get some pretty good lighting for your videos. There are loads of great videos on YouTube about lighting. Peter McKinnon has a great video that he used like DIY lighting setup. Check that out. That was a really good video. So what I got here, it's very basic, not expensive at all, and it's producing fairly good lighting. Now we're talking about audio, and more specifically, we are talking about microphones, what you're using to record what you are saying. Here I have a mic stand, which costs about £20, and attached to the mic stand, I have my microphone. And because the cable for the microphone is fairly short, we have a microphone extension lead, so this cable comes down, goes around here, and then goes into the camera around the corner there. So that produces good audio. This is the Rode Video Micro, only costs £40, and this stand is about £20. So it's this audio quality is fairly cheap, especially when you compare to other mics which cost about £1,000, $1,000. This is producing fairly good audio. When you're shooting footage, not like this kind of thing where it's on a tripod and I'm talking to it, but something like B-roll, which might be shot over this, we want to have to make sure it's stabilized, and we can use a camera strap. We can put the camera strap around our neck and have it attached to the camera, and then so we have our hands, 2 hands, and another point of contact here. So then when we're moving the camera, we get 3 points of contact, making the video more stabilized and making it not shaky and more smooth. This is a really good way. Another way is to get a gimbal. I don't think it's essential to get a gimbal. If you can do fairly handheld shots that are fairly stable, you might not need it, but depending on what kind of project you are working on, you might need a gimbal. If you're doing stuff with loads of people running, yes, probably a gimbal will probably be quite useful, but the majority of stuff you can probably get away with using it handheld. Also, you can do this thing where you have the lens, and if your lens is not a prime lens, and you can change the focal length, when you're going backwards, you could zoom in. It gives this kind of weird effect where you're going backwards but it's also going in at the same time. So that is something else that you could do. There's just a quick tip for you. Also, something that's really important is make sure you're organizing your footage, organizing your edit in folders. I showed this in my digital files organization as well in that video, so you can check that out. I'll leave the link down below. But essentially, I have the name of the project, and then within the project I have multiple folders, and the folders are, I have one for project, one for footage, one for audio, one for graphics, one for still/photos, one for exports, and one for everything else. So that is 7 folders in total. In the project folder, project file, footage split into A-roll and B-roll, so A-roll footage and B-roll footage, audio, so voiceover, if this was recorded as a voiceover, so there was all B-roll and a voiceover, or there was just B-roll and a voiceover, any different kind of combination, that would go in there. Also music, sound effects, so that would go in there. Graphics, I might have video assets in there. Stills of photos, maybe a thumbnail, maybe just any kind of photos that have been on the same shoot. Exports, and 7, which is everything else. Nothing tends to go in there because we like to organize everything. When editing, I like to think of your edit to have different layers and have different stages of the edit. So first of all, there's your A-roll, which is like me talking to you now. And then over that could be B-roll. So one of the examples I like to use is if I'm talking about typing on this keyboard, instead of me just telling you, we have B-roll over it of me typing on the keyboard. Then we have extra assets, which might be something like fog, a tree in the foreground, a mountain in the background, maybe a bonfire, anything like that. Those are extra assets. And then we have text, which would be like text, something that's on the screen. Wherever, like in this video, you might see text on the screen. That is another asset, it's another layer to add to your arsenal of making videos. Also, we have transitions, so maybe from one point to another of a video that you're making, you can have a transition to show that you're moving on to another point. Also, you could have animations coming up on the screen and might say stuff such as subscribe or anything like that. Also, we have a color grade, so that is what is over the footage to make it look much nicer, bring out the colors. So if we got rid of the color grade, you can see that it's much more dull and doesn't look as nice, but if we bring it back up, you can see that it looks much nicer. Lastly, we are talking about the final step when it comes to making a video, and that is either delivering it to your client, if you have a client, or publishing it to the world for the world to see, such as on YouTube, Vimeo, Instagram. I don't know if you made a skill on Skillshare, a course on Skillshare, publishing that on Skillshare, anything, IGTV, Snapchat, Twitter, I don't know, wherever you want to publish your work. If you're making it just for personal use and you don't want to show it to the world, I don't know, you can do that if you want. But yeah, great platforms to share it with. Also cross-promote with other platforms. As you can see from Instagram, I like to tell people, okay, here's my YouTube video that I uploaded, check it out. Because people might not know that you create videos or stuff like that. So tell the people that you already know that, oh, check out this piece of work that I've done. I'm sure if you know them, they will check it out. So there you go. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Please hit a thumbs up. Please comment down below. Hit the bell, subscribe, all of that stuff. Well, if you like to, you don't have to, but it helps the channel, helps us grow, helps the videos get to more people, all of that jazz. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Why are you still here? You still here? The video's finished. This was more like a filmmaking video. I enjoyed this. Not sponsored. You're still watching? No, you're not watching. Okay, bye. Well, if you're still here, subscribe. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.